guys, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to touch up on dealing with people with narcissistic personality disorder. I just wanted to kind of go over narcissistic personality disorder, dealing with people who have leaned towards high narcissistic personality traits, as well as discuss their victims as well. So before I go into this topic, I feel like this topic is like really popular right now. Everyone thinks everyone's a narcissist these days, and with social media and everything going on in the world, it's definitely common for sure. Social media probably doesn't help, but some of the traits that people exhibit have to do with gaslighting, let's see what else, creating situations that involve others, triangulation, let's see what else, having people cater to their grandiose personalities, inflated self-image, but in reality, these people are very fragile, and they have very fragile egos, and they don't want their mask to fall off. They basically want to maintain their image, but they don't want to be held accountable. So, the best thing to do in this type of situation, when you're dealing with somebody with narcissistic personality disorder, or people who exhibit traits that fall into these categories, is to remove yourself and walk away. Reason being is because you are, even if you're a victim, you are fueling that person's energy, basically. And so on a spiritual level, if we want to call ourselves followers of Christ and Christians, looking at that from a spiritual aspect, it's not biblical. People who suffer from narcissistic personality disorder, and I kind of smile when I say suffer, because it's like, if you've ever had an experience with somebody who is narcissistic or they exhibit these traits, it's like you might wonder, do they even have feelings? And they do, actually. Very fragile feelings. But it doesn't excuse their behaviors and how they treat others to lie and manipulate, and to create this illusion that everyone else has to follow their narrative just because that's what they want their image to be. So, yeah. If you're a victim of narcissistic personality disorder, you have a responsibility as well. Not to pinpoint the victim, because there are people who are living this reality right now, but we have to hold ourselves accountable, and understand that God would not want us to stay in situations that aren't holding others accountable, as well as God would not want us to allow ourselves to be taken advantage of, because the Lord has instilled us with power. He did not give us a spirit of fear. He gave us a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. So, in all of these ways that He has instilled us with power, love, and a sound mind, that contradicts what narcissism really is really. Yes, a narcissist may believe that they are in power, but if they have to utilize a bunch of other people around them to maintain their narrative and their illusion that they are in control of others, then that's really not power. That is a inflated sense of self, and it's really powerless. It's very weak, actually. So that's one. Love. We're called to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. And the interesting thing about this is, if you're not loving your neighbor in a proper way, then you really don't love yourself. And you need to really understand and look within and wonder, why do I treat myself a certain type of way? Why do I treat others poorly? And it's really because you have a poor self-image of yourself. So understand that from a narcissist point of view, they have a poor self-image. Okay, they rely on other people and their validation to fuel their self-image. That's another. So power, love, and a sound mind. Having a sound mind, that means that you are basically seeing things from a realistic perspective. And if you're having to gaslight people, manipulate people, triangulate people, just to make yourself feel comfortable, don't expect other people to fuel your lies if you're comfortable living that way, because other people aren't comfortable with living with lies. Okay, so that's another thing. I think that it stems from childhood trauma, and we as people should all be compassionate when it comes to trauma in general, but childhood trauma is very difficult to overcome, because it's something that that's the foundation, basically. And what's interesting about narcissistic personality disorder, there's a very good chance that if you do have these qualities, and maybe you do suffer from narcissistic personality disorder, there's a very high chance that your family members are narcissists, and they I don't know if it runs necessarily in your DNA or it's a learned behavior. Maybe it's a little bit of both, but it's possible that that's where it stems from. Yeah. So whether you consider yourself a victim, whether you may have had a family member and you grew up in a household and you suffered with dealing with this, or maybe you have been diagnosed or even undiagnosed and you know that you may have some of these qualities, it's always good to self-reflect and try to understand that it's not how God intended. We have a lot of power as individuals, and it's important for us to practice self-love and do our best to love others as well. Yeah. So, yeah, I've been thinking about this topic for quite some time, and it is an interesting topic to cover. And I don't want to, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, I'm just somebody who has had a lot of experiences with these types of traits. And yeah, I think that it's something that we could all learn from, and I think that God can and has the ability to heal this. A lot of people believe that the people who are narcissistic are just lost causes. I'd like to think that that's putting God in a box And I think that narcissistic personality disorder can be healed if the person is willing and wants to heal. I don't think it's right to put God in a box, because that's saying that these people can't heal and they're not willing to grow. But it does take a level of killing off the ego. And I think that's hard for any individual, but especially difficult for people who suffer from narcissistic personality disorder, or who have traits that exhibit high levels of narcissism. Yeah. And if you happen to be in a relationship with somebody who has these qualities or traits, maybe you're a victim, and you want to step away, but maybe you just don't know how to, or your life has been just so entangled in this kind of situation, just know that there is no fear in love, and perfect love casts out fear. So just remember that, because there's fear on both sides. Fear from the narcissist, because they don't want to be viewed a specific way because they're so used to living a certain type of way. And fear from the victim, because maybe they don't want to be alone. Maybe they have been with this person for so long, this is all they know, and this person is attached to everyone else in their life. But God doesn't give us the spirit of fear. He gives us a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. And it may be difficult to heal on either side, but just know that God can do anything. He can use anybody, and it is possible to heal. It is possible to change your life for the better, and He promises more for our lives. So just keep that in mind. I'm hoping everyone heals, and I will be praying for everybody. And I hope you have a great day. Thanks.